In developed countries, microfinance institutions have successfully collaborated with governments and other development partners to deliver scalable climate risk insurance products. However, in contrast, microfinance institutions in developing countries such as Pakistan are facing challenges such as resource constraints and low financial literacy, which are limiting their ability to offer comprehensive climate risk insurance. Pakistan, which is a highly vulnerable country, climate-related challenges can benefit from these models and interventions. Uh, so in the light of these interventions, the key objectives of this roundtable session will be to increase understanding of the critical role undertaken by microfinance institutions and how they can play in providing financial resilience and climate risk insurance. Furthermore, another objective of today's session will be to examine the specific obstacles that microfinance institutions in Pakistan, including resource constraints, regulatory challenges, and low financial literacy. With this brief background, I would like to invite Ms. Zainab Naeem for his agenda setting presentation.
Thank you so much, Asif. And once again, good morning, everyone. May I please request the IT team to display the presentation? Other one. Yes. So we did a working paper. It's basically based on comparative analysis, thorough reviews, and key informant interviews. On the role of microfinance institutions for climate risk insurance, a comparative analysis of developed and developing countries and implications for Pakistan. I know the longish title, but this is something that has not been done before. At least the comparative benchmarking has not been done before. And climate risk insurance is a novel subject in Pakistan, although this has been in practice globally. But we should not be feeling bad because even globally, risk insurance is something that's not very much integrated. Next, please. So, the rate and intensity, of course, the climate related disasters, it's increasing. Thank you. It's very easy to say that we are in the top 10 globally. That does not create a sense of, emotional attachment to what's going to happen in future. But climate emergency is here. It's going to be staying with us. And we have no idea what will become of the future generation. It is critical to ensure that adequate funding for exploring various projects related to climate action and environmental sustainability. Another important objective of why we did this study is because the global climate finance, the investors, they require certain kind of assurance. They require guarantees when they're investing in your country. And not just that, even the local investors, they need to have certain guarantees if they're investing in projects that is supporting climate action, communities, mitigation or adaptation. Is everything all right, Hassan? Slides display kar dein, please. Thank you. And then because if we have to ensure that the communities are getting the finance and they are accessing it, role of microfinance institutions is very important. So the study utilized a comprehensive data set collected from multiple sources from developed countries and developing countries. Why developed countries? Because we wanted to create a benchmark on what's happening internationally in the global north and what is the situation in global south. So the data encompasses both quantitative and qualitative information derived from annual reports of MFIs and banks. Why annual reports? Because if you go for the literature on Google Scholar or any other search engine, you will not find much information. And plus, it was extremely difficult to extract this information from annual reports, from their CSR sustainability reports, because not everything is mentioned in those reports. And not every bank does that. Sustainability reporting is very new in Pakistan also. Maybe over the last 10 years. Before that, it wasn't very much in practice. Then this data includes total loan amount, specific climate risk insurance products, and investments in sustainability and sustainability related projects. So this is a basic methodology, systematic literature review, data collection, followed by identification of MFIs. Now, microfinance institutions were identified based on the volume of the revenue, the investments that they're doing, and then the challenges that they are facing in context of climate risk insurance, and then pioneered solutions that they're providing in context of blended finance. Then we also did identification on based on climate risk insurance in particular, the kind of investments that are flowing in within each country, and that depended upon green investments, their CSR projects, and overall environment related investments that MFIs are doing. Because although that might not be directly linked to climate risk insurance by the MFIs themselves, but there are projects that they are doing that is supporting climate action in Pakistan. So that's what we did. Then we did benchmarking and analysis based through Python, SPSS, and Excel. So we analyzed banks in Italy, UK. Italy and UK have they have a good system around MFIs, and banking sector is really well established, and they are trying to integrate climate risk insurance, but not all of these banks are doing that. There are limited banks who are providing data openly, who are reporting it, but not every other bank is doing. So Italy, UK was selected because some of the banks were providing information, and that's why other countries were not selected. That's one of the key reasons. And in context of developing countries, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, we analyzed these banks. Khushali Microfinance Bank, Kash Foundation, and Mobilink Microfinance Bank Limited were analyzed. Compared to India and Bangladesh, Bandhan Bank in India, Fusion Microfinance, Equitas Small Finance Bank, and some other banks. The findings are very interesting. Next, please. Just skip this through, please. We know where we are standing in context of climate change. Next, please. Next. The slider is not working. Hassan, next, please. Next. Thank you. बस यहाँ पे रोक दें. The climate-related initiatives and financial performance of Khushali Microfinance Bank Limited, Kash Foundation, and Mobilink Microfinance Bank reflect their distinct approaches to addressing environmental challenges while also expanding the financial services. Interestingly, this is an interesting finding in, South Asia is not lacking in everything. The microfinance in context of climate risk insurance in South Asia is much better compared to so many developed countries. And these three banks in Pakistan, they foundations and banks, microfinance institutions, they are actually realizing how to make it accessible for the communities, and they're doing a lot of good work. I have skipped a lot of detailed graphs and numbers because that would become quite technical for so many other participants here. The Python results, and these institutions are actually doing a lot of work around climate risk insurance, and they're making it accessible for the communities here. They're providing and offering different sorts of products to make it more efficient in Pakistan, especially. In contrast, so this is a comparison of Pakistani banks. From 2018 onwards, Khushali microfinance initiatives include tree plantations, clean drinking water projects, and collaboration with WWF for green office certifications. Notably, in 2021-2022, the KMBL expanded its efforts assisting flood-affected populations and contribution to various SDGs. Now, the microfinance institutions are mostly focusing around adaptation. Some are focusing around mitigation efforts as well, but most focus is adaptation. Why? Because adaptation is also our national priority. Pakistan prioritizes adaptation compared to mitigation as part of its national agenda as well. In contrast, Kash Foundation has been active in integrating climate risk insurance into its loan offerings, particularly through its livestock loans. This integration launched in 2018 has has benefited over 90,000 women and settled 84 insurance claims. Kash Foundation's response to floods in 2010-11 highlighted its focus on disaster relief and disaster risk insurance in context of climate change. On the other hand, MMBL, with a rapidly growing income, particularly in 2021-2022, has focused on digital banking and financial inclusion. But there's a there's little focus on climate risk insurance. That's why we have invited Kola here today. She might correct us if we are wrong. We are really glad to have you here, Kola. But MMBL is doing much better compared to so many banks in the developed countries. And especially your focus around women inclusion and communities, it's truly great and amazing. But we would love to hear from you later on. Key lessons for Pakistan: we need to develop dedicated climate risk insurance products. Our policies are not focused directly towards targeted insurance. But I think if this is something that gets integrated, accessing international finance and also local investments in climate action will become very, very easy. And then comprehensive climate adaptation program. We do have national adaptation plan, but the issue is financing mechanism and its implementation plus its impact evaluation methodology is missing. Then we need to expand ESG and climate focused lending. The ESG is a buzzword now, and everyone is trying to focus around ESG. But the issues with ESG is we tend to focus more on the S, sometimes E, but G gets skipped because on national level, the financing mechanisms and criteria are not very well defined. So I believe that's where we need to come up with the kind of finance framework, and I think Bulent Saab will be focusing on that. He has been working diligently on developing legal framework around climate finance. And we need to incorporate CSR as a pathway for climate risk insurance. We need to think through things that we are doing already. We don't need to come up with an additional innovative thing. We have good practices, and climate risk insurance can be integrated as part of existing best practices. So these are some of the key lessons and recommendations. And this is also conclusion that MFIs needs to integrate climate risk insurance, and they need to prioritize it more than their CSR and sustainability initiatives, because this is something that will make finance accessible for the communities in Pakistan. Thank you so much. Over to you, Asif.
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you for presenting an overview of microfinance institutions and a brief stock take of what each player is doing currently. And I think most of the key players are sitting around this table. So with this, I will invite the interventions of Ms. Paula Shoaib, who is Head of Strategy Modeling, Microfinance Bank. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Zainab, for the detailed overview. I believe it's on, right? So when you so we've done we've made some significant progress since the findings of your report. We are in the midst of launching a climate insurance product, hopefully which will go live by next year. So we also this is the first time around that we formulated an ESG policy for the bank. And we've also established our carbon footprint baseline in consultation with 0 Point Partners. So I think good work has happened within this year. If I talk about women, including women inclusion through digital channels, Mobiling Bank has done a phenomenal job. We are the first microfinance bank to introduce real-time account opening. So, you know, it provides, breaks down the barriers that women traditionally face when it comes to going into the branches. And within our app, there is another feature that we've also enabled, which is a checking feature, because we do know that women do not have SIMs registered in their names, right? So when a female downloads the app and tries to log in and sign up for the account, what happens is that there is a check. If the SIM is registered under the female's name, only then she will be registered as a female account owner. So I think we've tried to resolve some of the governance issue over there. In addition to that, we are also conducting nationwide digital and financial literacy training programs. Till date for the year, we've roughly, I think, upskilled 20,000 women. The challenges that these women face, so you know, the challenges are based on geographies, right? women in Punjab, they don't really want to earn. They're dependent on their husbands. They don't even feel like they need to open up a bank account. But if you go down south, we see that there's an appetite. Women want to be independent and they want to earn their own earnings. So I think what we are trying to do in the years to come is to design a curated product portfolio for these women. We've also launched an incubator program for women-led startups in Islamabad. And we will be giving a grant money up to 4 million to these women. So we'll run 2 cohorts, right? In the first cohort, we've onboarded roughly 13 to 15 startups. I'm very glad that there are a couple of startups within our incubation program that are focused on sustainability. There's Eco Pulp and there's Eco Bricks. They use a sustainable material to produce their goods and services. We are also running an innovation challenge, which is in line with the Global Innovation Challenge Week, which will go live probably next week. The idea is to inculcate financial independence. So we will again be giving a grant money of up to 1 million to the best idea. So these are some of the things that we are doing. Hopefully, we do have an ESG policy in place. Now we are making a consolidated effort towards publishing an ESG policy report by next year. I'm very pleased to say that we did not have a CSR policy as such for the bank, and now we've embedded the CSR portion also into the ESG policy. Yes, few things from our side.
Thank you, Khala, for highlighting the women-led initiatives that Mohammed has taken, and also mentioning the key challenges that industry, specifically your organization, is facing. To highlight further challenges that microfinance institutions are facing, I would like to invite Mr. Ali Bashar from Pakistan Microfinance Network to provide his feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and having me over here. So basically, microfinance is a key pillar of financial inclusion in the country. It serves largely the marginalized and the unbacked community. They are extending bulk of the loans by microfinance providers are extended to women clients, small and marginalized farmers. We are lending for low-cost private schools, affordable housing, renewable energy. So at the moment, the industry stands at around 11 million borrowers, with the balance sheet nearly approaching over $1 trillion, and the loan portfolio around 570 billion rupees. What at PMN, at the Industry Association, we feel climate change is the biggest challenge facing the industry at the moment, and insurance is a key mitigant for this climate change risk. And so microfinance market is very vulnerable. We have seen these earlier in the presentation. It showed number of the frequency of the natural calamities is increasing, whether it was floods in 2010, 11, 14, 22, glacial outflows up north, droughts, locust swarms coming in, hailstorms, change of rain patterns. It is all affecting microfinance industry. I can just give you a figure. In the recent floods in 22 in Sindh, the non-performing loans for the microfinance sector stood at around 58 billion as compared to just 26 billion for the commercial banks. So it just shows the kind of impact the industry is taking. Microfinance industry is working as a conduit for micro insurance through partnerships with insurance companies, but there are around 10 million plus policy holders, but they're dominated by health and credit life. Agricultural livestock insurance is a very small component. And some of the challenge I will highlight as I go further. So even the relationship between, although theoretically speaking, this relationship between the insurance provider and the MFI should be excellent, and they can work together to provide insurance products to the clients. But unfortunately, it's far from ideal. Generally, the microfinance provider is the one who's bearing the reputation risk. He's the one who's facing the client. And the products at the moment are not that perfect that they can give that can allow for hedging the risk for the beneficiary. So we feel that there's a lot can be improved in the livestock and crop insurance to make it more perfect. Also, we feel that there need to be investment in the product development side, and also initially, because it will be a new avenue, maybe a partnership with the government. So maybe the premium may be subsidized by the certain percentage of it. That will take it further. So we feel there's a lot that can be done in collaboration with the insurance companies by the MFPs. But we need to sit together, work hard, and develop the right mix of products that can for this climate risk. That's my brief. We can take questions later on.
Thank you for highlighting the key initiatives. And I think one liner that I take from your intervention, that there is need to tailor the financial instruments going forward. So with this, I would like to invite Mr. Reza. Islamic Relief is committed to protecting the environment and advocating on environmental concerns. So can you highlight some of the key measures that your organization has undertaken for underprivileged communities in Pakistan?
Thank you, Asif. Thank you, Zainab, and thank you, STPI, to organize this session under your conference, Sustainable Development Conference. And overall theme is From Fragility to Resilience, Enhancing Sustainable Development. My overall knowledge in terms of microfinance institution is certainly limited, but I will be bringing overall perspectives from the communities, because we have been continuously responding to all catastrophes which Pakistan has witnessed for the 30 years, because we have here presence for more than 32 years now. And basically, we are UK-based organization. Ali Bishrat Sahab has rightly mentioned that when it comes to crop and livestock insurance, I think that is the area, and 60% of our population, and more than 60% at this moment, what figures are coming or statistics are coming, is still 61% or 62% of our population is living in rural areas. And if we are taking just example of last 2022, so the major Brent these people born was, livestock perished and their crops were completely vanished. And they struggled for more than 4 crop seasons in last 2 years, and they were struggling, and they haven't got any cash or capital with themselves to regrow or recultivate their lands. So that is the situation, and that is for all of us to look into, that how customized and tailored solutions can be provided to these communities. Because when we are talking about financial inclusion, usually we are taking into account those communities who are living in slum areas, who are living in urban peripheries, and they are included to a larger extent. But when it comes to far-flung or remote areas of Balochistan, of Sindh, or southern Punjab, or KP. So you can see that how far they have been included in that process. So when I am looking at all that landscape, I think there is a lot room to improve. And just Zainab was reflecting upon innovation. So I think in terms of innovation, what we need to look at, and since Ali Bishara Sahab highlighted that aspect as well, that you are working as industry, certainly when you are looking at mitigating all those risks on the part of farmers, you will be looking at your business as well, that how you can mitigate those risks. So I think that is larger debate which needs to take place, not today, but in the long run, that how we are providing those solutions to the people who can't provide any collateral and who doesn't have any collateral. And it's not just one event which we saw or witnessed 2 years back. Even in this season, if you are looking at paddy crop at this moment, apparently you will find good, but it is not going to be at that yield which we were expecting. And again, we saw these rains which has affected, and now these statistics are coming from eastern part of Balochistan and certain parts of Sindh, that their crop yield, particularly of paddy, is not going to be that was expected. So I think when we are talking about financial inclusion, so I will conclude my brief or my thoughts around this, that how we are going to include those sharecroppers and those farmers who are not literally subsistence farmers, but still they are cultivating lands of any feudal lord, and they are heavily dated for years and years, for generations they are under debt. So how they can be included and how innovative solutions we can provide to them. And when we are talking about mitigation and adaptation, they should be at the center of these debates, because yes, we should look for urban slums, we should look for urban peripheries, but these are the communities, and our statistics are again showing that poverty is deepened in the wake of plus 2022, and largely it is concentrated in rural areas. So how we can provide solution to these communities who are living in rural areas and continuously bearing the brunt of, weather vagaries or extreme weather events, that is for us to ponder upon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for emphasizing that farmers are at the forefront of facing challenges related to climate change, and there is need to protect the rural communities. So going forward, I would like to invite Syed Buland Suhail sir, who is head program and partnership at IBA. Sir, I would like to ask, how do you think that the most critical knowledge gaps in understanding socio-economic impacts of climate risk insurance in Pakistan?
Hello, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Zainab. We're just coming out of a climate finance workshop at the heels of this annual summit. I think the work done will have an impact going forward on how to approach particular problems. And from what I see in the microfinance, insurance, and microinsurance sector, a lot of work has been done, but the potential is huge. So it's a good idea, I think, to take stock, restock of the situation, go back to the drawing board with the concerned stakeholders, which includes, of course, the supply side, demand side, as well as the regulators in the government. I think during our workshop, we had State Bank present, we had State Bank Deputy Governor present, and with him, because the leadership was there, the entire State Bank's climate finance unit was present, and they took the workshop proceedings very seriously. Likewise, we had the Chairman SECP present, we had the Commissioner Insurance present, and the Head of Department Insurance SECP present. So these kind of small interventions, but intelligent interventions are required. Because of the presence of regulators, we saw the quality of the discussion we had three use cases. We had EVs, we have NECA, National Energy Conservation Authority, and the session that was led by SGPI was Climate Smart Agriculture. And we had 8 banks, all nominated by State Bank, all the major ones, Mizan, HBL, Dubai Islamic, Faisal, Falah, so on. We had 5 insurance companies, all the top ones, EFU, New Jubilee, IGI, TPL. So the quality on the output of the discussions were extremely pointed, focused, and clear. And these recommendations hopefully will be made part of, these were on climate finance and the way forward and hurdles. Similar, I think, methodology can be very usefully applied, in my opinion, in this sector as well, because I see a lot of misalignment. One of the recommendations that were given, and I'll just go through the main recommendations, but one of the recommendations that the State Bank itself came up with in this joint session was that the banks and the insurance companies need to collaborate and bring better products to the market. And one of the examples they gave was the life insurance under the banker assurance policy, where insurance companies have amalgamated their efforts with various with banks, and the banks have given their branch facilities for life insurance, health insurance, and various other insurance products. That has been a real game changer in the insurance industry. I think similar as a conspiracy. I think similar exercise can be conducted in this sector as well. So देखिए पोटेंशियल तो बहुत है. जब मैं अपनी रिसर्च कर रहा था, आई फाउंड आउट दैट SCCP की अपनी रिपोर्ट्स में 4 million current customers. I don't know how relevant or how is this the latest or not, but the potential is 31 million. I mean, how do we reach that? I think this forum, I'd like to know personally more your perspectives on the challenges that you face, especially from the regulatory side. What are the hurdles with regard to जो बशारा साहब ने mention किया है about non-performing loans? देखिए अगर आप रेगुलेटर्स का एक बहुत बड़ा फायदा ये है कि they are actually very finely regulated by the regulators. There's transparency, there's accountability. The regulated sectors have to answer to the regulator. So you can leverage as you know, as industry and market makers, you can leverage that that framework to promote the sectors. I'll take you to the recommendations. So this was the joint conference. It was State Bank, SECP, IBA, and SGPI. I was one of the organizers along with Khurram Lalani of Resources Future. This is the kind of room settings we had. We had once representation from SECP, from the banks, from the insurance sectors. There was an experts panel, and then there was the leaders of the regulatory leadership was there as well. And then we presented our high-level findings before a high-level kind of a plenary event, which was held at State Bank in Nabaf in Islamabad. And these are the recommendations that came out of the SDPI theme. पीछे कैसे जाते? यहाँ आ रही है, वहाँ नहीं है. So prioritization of sustainable water management investments, resources obviously are more resources are needed. Empower community-led adaptation efforts. This is the main thing: streamline funding, accessibility, and allocation. Develop mechanisms to ensure adaptation financing is accessible to national and local organizations. Foster multi-sectoral partnerships. इसमें देखें donors involved हैं, government ministries involved हैं, private sector regulators. So there's a dire need to go back to the drawing room, drawing table, and reformulate strategy. It's an auto. इसके बाद जाएं आप प्लीज. आप कर रहे हैं एक और बार. नहीं, go forward, not back. Forward, forward, forward. Yeah. Embedded insurance was one of the key recommendations. So basically, come up with a bundle product. Banks and insurance companies need to come up with more clarity on the products. Embedded insurance is obviously is if you farmer goes to buy seeds or fertilizer or whatever inputs in the climate disaster insurance product is added on. Other climate adaptation insurance products added on. That clarity, I don't know if is it there in the market or that is very much there.
Just explain a bit. For forum, if you can explain a bit these things. ये जो आप
Zainab, आपने वो lead किया था session. तो हाँ. Then you have the embedding insurance into law and policies. Advocate the request was to make further amendments in the various laws, both at the banks level and at the insurance level. There was a demand for more stakeholder consensus and collaboration. And I think Zainab, I think I'd ask you to give the recommendation and the finding because you really led that forum.
Thank you. So basically, We had 3 use cases. First one was first two focused around mitigation side, and the last one was around adaptation side. So adaptation side, say we had representatives from Recharge Pakistan. That's one of the largest adaptation fund जो हमें GCF से access किए. And then we had living in this representatives. Then we had microfinance sector. So we engaged them all to extract the key recommendations. And वहां पे जो सबसे important recommendations निकली थी कि adaptation financing में we need to focus more around the grants aspect, because farming communities are directly affected. So that's why the grants should be the key focus. Around concessional financing and blended finance mechanism, there's not much awareness and there's not much financial literacy related capacity building that's happening when we are talking about adaptation and farming communities. So that's why those recommendations were proposed. Then there was another recommendation that was very important. मैंने वही अभी निकाली अपने पास. हाँ, if so there was empower community-led adaptation initiatives, and that is only possible when we have SCCP representative here, when State Bank, SCCP and other institutions, they join hands with microfinance institutions to deliver financial literacy related training programs for the farming communities, and that will empower them. That will create an understanding on how adaptation finance can be accessed by them. Third, another important aspect was the social protection attached with the financial grants. Adaptive social protection that is related with adaptation financing for these communities, it's very important. And within that aspect, development partners are already working, but the issue is that local banking sector and microfinance institutions are not being made part of as key stakeholders. Development partners are providing the research, scoping studies, everything is being done, even capacity building, but the kind of implementation and accessing framework is missing. And that's where Bulensab and SDPI and all other partners join hands to work out a mechanism that can be helpful, and that mechanism would also be presented at COP29. Another, last but not the least, was streamline funding accessibility and allocation, develop a mechanism to ensure adaptation financing is accessible at sub-national level. Now, the issue is we do not have local governance system throughout the country. And so that's why rural communities, the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach, these two approaches, it's very hard to ensure these two approaches. And that's why communities are unable to access the finance. But we do have BISP, and I think integrating BISP through this financing mechanism where we are talking about adaptation come social protection can be a game changer. We have a good social protection program, but that is also lacking the climate adaptive social protection. So these were some of the recommendations that were developed and proposed for the regulators. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for emphasizing that there is huge potential of microfinance institutions that is need to be tapped, and the role of why there is role of regulatory authorities like SCCP is important. And I will ask this question from Mr. Mazizada later on, but first let me invite Ms. Ramsha Taj from PMIC for her remarks.
Hello, everyone. So, Zainab, you did point out that we're doing far better than developed countries, but I think we also need to note that the need in our side is a lot more than there is in developing countries. So Bulan Saab was presenting what the potential market is. The potential market for microfinance is 40.9 million people, and we've only catered to around 11 million people, which is only 23% of the potential, 23 or 25% of the potential market that we're catering to. So there's around 75% of the people that is our potential market, which we're not catering to. In terms of insurance, this is very, very significant to note because insurance will not sell on its own. So insurance can only be bundled with a financial product if you want to sell it, if you want to offer it to the end clients. What PMIC has done in terms of being an apex organization is we do understand, we do interact a lot with the supply side, which is the insurance providers. And then we do interact with the demand side in terms of the microfinance institutions, which is our borrowers. And we do cater to around almost 70% of the entire microfinance ecosystem. So we do interact with most of the microfinance players here. We interact with the borrowers, and then we also go to the end clients, and then we interact with them in terms of what kind of assistance or help do they require. One of the things that PMIC has done is brought everybody together on one platform. So we have conducted community awareness sessions with the microfinance providers, insurance providers, and the end clients present at the same level, at the same platform, in order to create awareness at all levels, and then B, in order to develop better products. So like Ali Basharat Saab pointed out, that there needs to be a lot of work done in terms of product development. That is our area of focus as an apex organization. Some of the products that we've developed, I would also like to point out that in terms of insurance, especially in association to climate risk, we're only talking about crop and livestock insurance, but we do need to see enterprise related insurance and housing related insurance as well. Because climate does not only affect small farmers, but these small farmers also have very small tuck shops, for example. When a climate calamity does come, there's a lot of impact on these small businesses as well. So that is also something that needs to be kept into account, especially when you're focusing on the household level. And if you want to integrate women, a lot of men might be working on the farms, but then women are working in the household. So that is also something that we are focusing on. And also in terms of housing, how do you provide housing insurance products? How do you offer them? How do you package them? So that is also an area that we're exploring. PMIC has developed a crop and livestock insurance product. So we did work with the rainfall index crop insurance product. Then we did area yield index insurance product as well. In terms of livestock, we had some really interesting products. So we had a live weight livestock insurance product, which is basically the sum insured is in alignment with the value of your livestock. So for example, a lot of people have buy livestock before Eid, and that is very weak livestock, but then they give them food and then they fatten them Eid ke kareeb. And for example, if a livestock dies 2 days or a week before Eid, the value of that livestock is a lot more than the value there was when the insurance was sold or when the livestock was bought. So these are some of the products that we have developed in consultation with all the stakeholders, and they've worked really well. But then there are some systemic issues that are very, very significant for us to understand. The issue is we've also tried to use technology in livestock. So we did initiate a project with Celsius, which is an index insurance company. And we implemented this project in drought-prone areas. There was satellite imagery done. And if the area has less vegetation, the early warning was triggered, and then the small farmers were provided financing to buy fodder preemptively and then to stock it up to feed their livestock. So we've used technology as well, but one of the problems that we have faced in terms of implementing these is that nobody is willing to bear the cost. The insurance companies do not want to lower the premium cost. The microfinance borrowers do not want to bear the cost. So the cost goes to the end client. The end client is already in this environment. The inflation is now going down, but like as of now, the end clients are paying around 45% interest rate, right? So an additional cost of 3% or 4% for insurance does not sell with them as well. So there's a huge gap in terms of affordability and need. So that is an area that we are working on, but that is an area that the regulators and the investors and everybody at the policy level needs to figure out who there's a huge demand, but then who is going to bear the cost? At least initially in terms of setting up. So insurance has worked really well in India because insurance is subsidized in India. Do we want to follow that model? How do we work with that? And then we've also conducted a few studies, and we have realized that at least insurance can only work when you scale it up. So for the duration of the time until we reach that scale, maybe we can get subsidy from the government to help us set this up. Those are some of the inputs that we have from the kind of work that we've done already. Also, in terms of technology, like we do talk about technology and satellite imaging and all of that a lot, but we don't have an infrastructure to use this kind of technology. So somebody will also have to bear the cost of developing infrastructure in terms of technologically developing ourselves to reach that point where we can integrate technology. So, ek to we don't have the infrastructure. Then secondly, okay. Secondly, we also don't have established baseline. So that is also something that needs to be kept in mind. Thank you.
Thank you for highlighting your key initiatives related to insurance and why there is need to related to enterprise insurance. So with this, I would like to invite Mr. Mumtaz Iqbal from Akash Foundation. Sir, your interventions, please. Briefly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share Kashf experience. But before that, I would like to actually highlight some of the ground realities. So for example, if we look at the climate induced events and their impact, it's not equally distributed. So it impacts the poor and the vulnerable the hardest. Secondly, we have seen that whenever there's a climate induced event, I mean, the impact of women and children is the most. I mean, this is the target market that microfinance institutions are catering to. Thirdly, the employment of women is slowest to revive. That is what we have seen in our experience. And I mean, I'm mentioning this point because as a microfinance institution, as a non-banking microfinance company, Kash for other MFIs, I mean, they are focused on women because as part of their social mission. So their employment is the slowest to revive because of the fact that there are extended displacement periods and lack of capital for investment. Then there are health-related issues as well. So if we look at the solution, there is not just one solution that will address all these issues. Now I'll come to the insurance part. So I mean, although Kash Foundation is leading in the microinsurance sector with 40% of the market share and with 4.5 million beneficiaries. And in the presentation, you shared that there were like 85, 86 claims for livestock. I mean, that was at a very, very early stage. Now, this number of claims has increased to 1,500 million, amounting to 85 million rupees. But I mean, frankly speaking, these insurance solutions are not adequate to address the risk that is created by these natural calamities, whether these are floods or earthquakes or droughts or heat waves. So we need to come up with some specialized products. We are offering credit for life insurance. We are offering insurance for livestock. But I mean, those are regular products. I mean, those are not actually focusing on the climate risk. So when we realized this, we came up with the idea that perhaps this is the right time to develop a climate resilient strategy with different factors so that we are able to protect our communities, protect their assets, and ensure their livelihood, their health-related concerns. And at the same time, they have something with them at the time of crisis so that they could make their both ends meet. So we came up with the insurance product. I mean, that is something in process. We have also developed a micro saving product with the collaboration of an insurance company because, I mean, by law, we cannot take deposits, the MFIs. and that is something that was like initiated almost a year back, and the total number of savers have now increased to almost 10,000, and we are planning to roll it out across our network in the country to over 800,000 our microfinance clients. So saving would be one aspect. Then we also introduced the concept of micro health clinics in our branches, because we have seen that post flooding or post any natural calamity, there are certain diseases that follow that event. And the communities that we are working with are most vulnerable, and they do not have access to basic health facilities. And I would not mention any specific province. We all know the facts and the figures. But so we decided to offer saving as one solution, of micro health insurance as a second, micro health clinic as a second solution. And then for a larger piece of it, which is micro insurance, we actually entered into an agreement with the BII, that is British International Investment. And we are currently working with them and Frankfurt School of Management, who is acting as a consultant, to come up with climate resilient insurance solutions that in case if that event occurs again, we are able to protect our communities. But as I mentioned, and as far as I know, even other than the Kashf experience in the Pakistani sector, perhaps we are at a very, very preliminary stage to make some effort in this direction. And there's a long, long way to go. I would also like to mention that perhaps the MFIs or the MFFCs and BMFCs alone cannot develop and offer these solutions, because these solutions are costly. So one of my friend mentioned collaboration with insurance company. Yes, that is something very, very important. But we also need like financial assistance from different stakeholders, from donors, so that we are able to develop suitable insurance products to actually support our communities in the time of crisis. Because the types of these products differ, because we have to take care of our communities before the event, during the event, and then after the event. So there are different products for different stages. From Kashf perspective, we are committed to expanding this facility across network, but we have started our journey from Sindh, because we just last 30 seconds. So we started our journey from Sindh because in the 2022 flooding, there were like 20,000 households that were displaced as a result of flooding. And I mean, we did a research after 9 months post flooding, and we have seen that people were still very condition. So that's why we focus on Sindh, but we'll then take it to south of Punjab and then KPK, and perhaps at the end we'll come to Punjab. But we are very much committed to expand it throughout the country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. And now I would like to invite Mr. Aniruddha who has joined us online. Sir, your remarks, you have patiently heard the discussion around microfinance institutions in Pakistan. And what are your views about how microfinance institutions are progressing in India, and what key lessons that you propose that can be replicated in Pakistan? Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for providing this opportunity. Basically, while going through the aspects of the microinsurance done in Pakistan and covering all the climate risks and all, in the similar way, I can just tell you certain things in India, what we are practicing right now. We are a small MFI, however, the risks which are there for us, bigger MFI, as well as for the community, are the same. You see, some of the speakers have mentioned about the insurance which is related either to crop or to livestock. Definitely that ultimately has got a great, what type of, you can say it has got a great importance in financing of MFI or lending to the community who are very poor and vulnerable to these climate risks. As rightly put in by certain speakers, that in India also, the crop insurance basically is provided by government itself. micro insurance companies are not implementing any of the products or are not having any of the products. Presently, we are based out of Maharashtra, which is a state. You might be knowing Mumbai. So here, government of Maharashtra has taken an initiative to provide insurance to the farmers at 1 rupee only, rupee 1. And the entire other premium is paid by government of Maharashtra, as well as it is subsidized also by government of India. With regards to this crop insurance, but one thing what I really feel is a challenge here is the insurance claims are settled on the basis of the crop losses in that area. It is not based on the crop losses of an individual farmer. So that is a big challenge, that it may happen that one of the clients or one of the customers of this insurance company may have suffered a loss, but if that particular area has not suffered a loss, he will not get the claim. Secondly, one more thing, that the crop losses are assessed on the entire thing, and hence it is not possible for government also or for the insurance provider also to give you 100% claims. Normally, the claims ranges from 40% to 60 to 80%. In no case, if there is a big disaster, so then and then only it will cover only 100% losses. Secondly, with regards to livestock, all the speakers have mentioned that we are providing the livestock insurance, and as done by this CAST Foundation. In India also, the livestock insurance is provided by the microfinance institutions in collaboration with various insurance companies. But here, if you are giving a loan through any of the government schemes, then the premium of insurance will be 50% that of the regular premium. Means the normal premium rate here to cover and livestock is 4% of the purchase value of that cattle, or purchase or the value of that cattle on the basis of the medical fitness. So the normal rate is 4%, and that you can provide through microfinance institutions. The microfinance institutions have a tie-up with various type of insurance companies, and they are providing this type of products to the rural borrowers. Here, one thing I will just like to mention, that when we talk about an enterprise, the dairy is a very big enterprise in India, in many of the states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, or Madhya Pradesh, or Bihar, even in Uttar Pradesh. So this livestock insurance, if the cattle dies due to any reason, it may die of climate risk, it may die of accident, it may die in any of the other calamities also, the amount is immediately released by the insurance companies, wherein that farmer gets that amount through microfinance institution, and he can immediately purchase a new cattle. See, in the livelihood cycle, that particular family does not have to suffer a loss due to non-availability of a resource. So this is a very big thing. Now, even when we are financing to any of the farmer who has purchased a cattle, we will not settle that claim immediately against the loan. We will immediately give that amount which has been settled to the farmer, so that he can purchase another cow, and his installments are being recovered regularly. So this is the beauty of this cattle insurance, wherein the microfinance institutions already have tie-up with insurance companies where you can provide this cattle insurance. Now, certain speakers have mentioned about the geo-tracking, as well as having the this thing on a globe or something. So here, still today, we are having the what we have, these tags which are tied up on the this thing.
May I please request if you can wrap up in next 1 minute, please?
Yes.
Thank
On the ears of the cattle, and whenever that cattle dies, so that tag is taken by the insurance company, which immediately has, and what we can say, and confirmatory this thing, and that claim will be settled. So these are the things which we are practicing at present through microfinance institution. But at the bottom line, government has to be there. All the stakeholders has to be there in order to provide such type of insurances to the community, or otherwise it will not be possible only for microfinance to provide such type of products. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for quoting specific examples, which going forward, our microfinance institution can tailor in the context of Pakistan. With this, I would like to invite Mr. Umar Bloch from World Bank. Sir, World Bank is doing extensive job having key initiatives and programs in Pakistan related to climate change. So, how do you think that climate risk insurance solutions in Pakistan can be scalable and sustainable?
Thank you so much. Thank you for organizing this event. I'm sure we'll all have some important takeaways from it. I already have. I believe the role of MFI is a catalyst for financial inclusion. They reach a vulnerable population. They have the data modeling and all this information. They promote resilience and reduce poverty. They encourage climate adaptation, but there are challenges. Challenges being the resource limitations, as mentioned by Mumtaz Saab, that the lack of finances because they are not deposit taking. They have the clients who are in remote areas. Access is very difficult, very costly. In terms of insurance, the payout frequency because of the climate and all this is very high. And then there are regulatory issues. They cannot offer insurance products directly. And then they have clients who have low literacy rates, low financial literacy rates. I believe most of us have discussed here about having better insurance products. For that, I think that the key players that we can think of here are farmers, their insurance companies, and then there is the microfinance providers. I think fear of unknown is something that we have to eliminate. That insurance doesn't know what are the risks in that sector. The microfinance, the farmers, they have a fear of taking insurance because they think of insurance as something that's going to be very costly, something that's not going to be beneficial. It's going to be difficult for them to get the payout. So microfinance, I think, has an important role to play here, to use that. The important thing that only they have is the data to understand what are the limitations of that farmers, what are the issues that they face, what are the risks that they have. They have the opportunity. I think that's something that institutions like World Bank and everyone else that has to facilitate that partnership between microfinance institutions and the insurance companies to design products together, something that they can understand, something that they can have a premium, which is something that farmers can pay, which is something that they can take the risk on. Otherwise, if they don't understand that risk, it's going to be difficult for them to have a premium that's going to be manageable for the MFIs. Before going, rather than going on details on all of this, I just want to say that the role of World Bank is we aim to increase the outreach to microfinance institutions by providing access to women and rural borrowers. We have been a big supporter of microfinance inclusion, and we have had different projects throughout our history. Just quoting the recent ones, there's a financial inclusion and infrastructure project that we have going on. It's going to probably end by the end of this year. It's a wholesale line of credit with SBP as implementation partner. This project provides liquidity to microfinance providers. We have already we have about 500,000 recipients for that, 80% of which are women. And then we had after the flood of 2022, we have the Sindh Flood Emergency Housing Reconstruction Project. And other projects, we had evolution of all of this had led us to initiate a new project, which is Resilient and Accessible Microfinance Project, which aims to enhance the resilience of the microfinance sector and its borrowers and enhance access to finance. It is a $125 million project with $23 million in grant. It has two components. It's a pre-climate and a post-climate component. Pre-climate is an innovative agricultural liquidity, which is supported by GIZ. We have shortlisted some agriculture technology companies, which are going to bundle up some services through the loans that MFIs and MFBs are going to provide. That's going to build resilience of the farmers. And then there's a post-climate product that we have, which is a contingent climate liquidity, which is going to be triggered once once there is a flood that our modeling assesses that's going to trigger that, and that's going to release a liquidity, and it's going to give to the affected tehsils and the providers. It's going to be based on a model that uses the affected tehsils as well as the portfolio of the microfinance institutions. Thank you for your attention, and looking forward to hear from all of you.
Thank you, Mazhab, and thank you. You have rightly pointed out that microfinance institutions have the data sets which will be key for the government and regulatory authorities for the initiatives in futures. And with this, I would like to invite Mr. Wazir Zada from SCCP. Sir, you have listened the role of microfinance institutions, and I think SCCP has done extensive work in providing regulatory guidelines and regulating the microfinance institutions and promoting their growth. So what are the key measures from the government side that are in place to promote their growth?
Assalamu alaikum. And thank you very much for giving me a wonderful and insightful session, because once I see my notes, I think that majority of the points are already addressed. So all of the participants are going in parallel directions, running side by side, but not crossing each other. And unless they cross each other, they're not going to meet. So everybody is like a train track going into the same direction, but not crossing. And I will try to basically abridge those gaps which are discussed throughout this session. So once we talk about climate insurance, it's not just crop, livestock, life or death. It's everything, because the climate risk basically affects at the micro and meso level. And you have to check what are the things that a micro or a poor person or a person who is affected by climate risk is going through. So it will be crop, livestock, but at the same time, you will miss out those important people with income disruption. So the income disruption is also one of the major reasons of the people getting affected from the climate risk. And embedded insurance is something which needs to be sold with microfinance, but not just giving them one option, but giving them two. And when we talk about insurance and microfinance institution going side by side, it's like microfinance institution is perceived as a bloodline, but along with a parasite, which is insurance. So I would advocate, when we have been doing this policy advocacy with at least 2 or 3 microfinance institutions, why don't you get an insurance license? It's only 100 million. But 2 years of hard work, it ends up with their board. We have tried to do the policy advocacy. Why, if a microfinance institution is willing to give like 300, 400 million in premium to a single insurer, why not to set up an insurance company itself? Because the microfinance institution is sitting on a data. And when we talk about climate risk insurance, data is the oil. If you have the data, you have people on foot, you have people in remotest area, geographical, you know that you can provide it. Because once you get an insurer, the insurer will ask you that, okay, I'm going there, I'm going to put my people in there, they are going to verify the claims, and then I will start paying it. Because, and then with one of the biggest thing is, with microfinance institutions, the claim experience is not going to the person affected. It's going to the microfinance institution because you are ultimately securing your own loan portfolio. So you need to, like Kash saying that you're going through the innovative products, another thing. And then once you go through crop, we have done an extensive collaboration throughout the Pakistan. And we went to each and every province. We went to the agriculture department, what they are doing. We went to the place. We have been through all the initiatives taken by the governments and why they have failed. And we end up saying that the product is there, but it's not viable. And it's not viable because the cost goes high. So you need to get more and more tech people involved. If you're talking about crop insurance, the crop insurance is only going to the extent where there is subsidy, because without subsidy, it's going to be high. You need a person who is going to verify the yield and whether somebody, and one of the agriculture department said that I did a crop insurance for wheat, but there was no wheat even cultivated or sowed. So you're talking about these people. This is where your tech partners come in. You need to have positive collaborations with tech partners. And 2 days ago, I've been to one of the tech partner, which is Bakhabar Kisan. And I've seen their system. They're upgrading it every 5 days. And all their partners, even some of the people who are not at their farms are using them to monitor their crops and their workers. So I would say that as a regulator, once you go through this, you can launch your own products. Then the second step is what we can do is at the association level. You want to develop a product, there is the concept of pool insurance. We can make like 7 or 8 insurance companies putting their skin together and make a pool. And that pool should be for the whole industry. So all the MFIs get a tailored product for crop, for income through that pool, because that's going to be cost effective. That's going to be, but like I was talking to Ali as well at the start of this session, we need to have the pain points of the microfinance institutions. What are the pain points? Why are they not getting their insurance products as per their needs? Because through pool, we can address them. But if you go to the individual insurance companies, that will have some business sense, that will have something. And then insurance companies itself have cost. If you go for the livestock, every animal needs to be tagged. That tagging itself has a cost. So through the pool structure, our microfinance institution getting a license of insurance, we can address those things. And I am open to any of the microfinance institution who is willing to have that license. We will do the hand holding. We will try to make sure. And then there is no, if you talk about non-life insurance, for micro insurance, you don't need an approval from SECP. You go and launch it. Even it took us like 7 or 8 months to go to the MFIs through Basharat, get the data and see what kind of policies they are offering. So there is no regulatory approvals at all for launching a microfinance or a small ticket product. If you get an insurance license, or if you approach an insurer, they can give you, except for the life side and saving components, because that's where investment component is involved. That's where savings are involved. Those needs to be vetted by SECP and seen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing your commitment. I think that is what is required for microfinance institution. Yeah.
Let's see if the forum we are providing that all can join hands and this process can be streamlined. But I think Hamza, because you are the chair here to conclude, Asif.
Thank you for being here, Hamza. And I think being a regional director of V20, and V20, along with Global Shield, is pioneer of initiating the discussion around climate finance risk insurance in Pakistan. So how do you see the growth of microfinance institutions, and what lessons do you think can be drawn from your regional experience in context of Pakistan. Thank you. After is remarks, sir.
We'll be summarizing, but we can open floor for one or two questions with permission of the chair.
Sure. Would you mind if I quickly just conclude and then we can have questions? Thank you so much. Very kind of you. First of all, thank you so much to STPI, to Zainab, Asif, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you for all of you to come and share your experiences. I think I have learned so much here today from all of the things that have been shared. I just want to quickly give you a little insight of what CVFV 20 is, just so that the context is set. We are an intergovernmental agency of 70 countries, 70 climate vulnerable countries that have come together and become a collective voice in international forums, in local forums, to talk about international financial architecture that needs to be changed and other things that need to be brought from the developed countries to the developing countries. And I know, Ramsha, you talked about the needs being different, and I'll speak about that as well. Just a quick fact that I want to give you all. A G20 report in 2023 said that there were $200 billion extracted from developing countries, while only $2 billion worth of concessional financing was given to developing countries. So the ratio over here, my friends, is 100 to 1. That's the kind of disparity we're seeing in the international financial reform, and that's what we're working towards. We're also the co-chairs of Global Shield, which has a program with the World Bank that's sitting here as well. And we're looking into crop, livestock, enterprise, home, social adaptation, microfinancing, and insurance opportunities. Just to quickly wrap up, Khola, you mentioned that the North and South were different. I think we should really understand of what needs to happen in those areas and how we can bring, as you mentioned also, the financial independence. I am, however, shocked that after 20, 30 years, Mobilink has finally decided to have a CSR. I think that could have been done before. But anyways, that's something we should probably talk about. Ali Basharat Saab, I think you rightly pointed out that the vulnerability has increased because the frequencies have increased. Raza Saab, you clearly pointed out that the far-flung areas need to be included more and that the poverty has deepened. I think that's a very important insight for all of us. Sohail Saab, you mentioned very rightly that the potential is huge and the key recommendations need to include community-led adaptations. Ramsha, you've already pointed out that the 40.9 million people are still there. The untapped potential is massive, and we still haven't done much to get that 75% secured. And the enterprise and housing insurance products need to be there, and to have trigger-based financing. That's one of the very critical things. In Global Shield, one of the bigger things we talk about is that people can't wait 36 to 48 months for aid to come in or to financing to come in. I think one of you guys also mentioned that there's still people struggling from the aftermaths of the floods. Mumtaz Saab, you clearly mentioned that the induced impact of climate impacts are not equally distributed. And we must not focus on particular areas, but we should have a widespread map laid out so that we focus on all these areas. And Anirudh mentioned that the regional risks are very similar and the government is providing insurance as rupee 1, although I feel that sometimes it's better to keep government out, but I guess it's working in India. And one of the critical things that I think Sohail Saab mentioned and Anirudh mentioned is that the stakeholders need to be a part of all these conversations. Umar Baloch Saab, you mentioned that the farmers fear insurance. I think that's a very valid point because there's lack of awareness. And Wazir Saab, I think you've summed it up very nicely that we're all running parallel, but not holding hands and running together. So I think those are very, very interesting points. So I'll quickly wrap up with some of the themes that I've seen. The innovation is clearly, still needs to be factored in. Inclusion needs to continue. Untapped potential is massive. There's a lack of awareness. There's more empowerment that needs to be there. And there needs to be some level of disruption now so that we set the course right. So I'll stop there and open up the floor for any questions, which I think we already have one. Thank you.
It's okay? Okay. So I'm Dr. Ehsan, ex-professor. I've been working on biomass to energy since last 2005. It is first time for me to know to have the discussion on microfinance. I have seen that all of you are working on the farming community. Is there any plan to spread it to the small industries? Because they are also going to be affected by the climate risks.
Question is microfinance is mostly focused around the discussion in here is because adaptation is a priority, farming communities, etc. So he's asking if microfinance and risk insurance can also target industries, the smaller industries. If there are any plans, sir, आप आंसर करना चाहेंगे प्लीज जी.
इसमें मैं आपको एक चीज बता दूं, थ्रू आउट द यूनिवर्स जो माइक्रो इंश्योरेंस है दैट हैज इवॉल्व टू इंक्लूसिव इंश्योरेंस. सो एट Pakistan micro never kicked out, but inclusive is at the moment thriving. So small ticket insurance and inclusive, and we do have, and there are a lot of medium and small size companies which are getting those insurance, and they are particularly in the field of health. Health is something that they are getting it now. And then at the same time, if we talk about like formal sector that do get addressed by, but with the informal sector, you have certain compulsory insurances like labor law gives you that you have to get your workers for life and health insured. That is also basically being taught by SECP right now. And through our collaborations, we have met sector industries and other people, and we have tried to convince them this is something on which they need to make sure that all the medium-sized enterprises, partnerships, or whoever have private setups, they should get these kinds of insurance.
Okay, but I think that industry also need to participate in the climate change adaptation and resilience like that. When they have to follow the rules like NEQs, national quality standards, and they need some money. They need some extra money, which may they not have planned, because it is very unusual, not say unusual, but it is rare for the small industries to follow the rules like national environmental quality standards like that. So I was thinking if there is any support, it will be maybe it may facilitate them. Second, sorry.
Sir,
Actually, adaptation and resilience is also.
So, sir, sorry, we are almost running short of time, but your questions are very well noted here. And I totally get the point, as Wazir Zada Saab has also mentioned. I totally get your point here that smaller industries, they need to be made part of the solutions. And we have been discussing about this, industries and how they can be integrated in climate action in our other sessions as well. And we have engaged local smaller industries. They are here, they are displaying their solutions downstairs. We have engaged them through the expo. There are not just the local industries, even MNCs, they are having certain case studies that even public sector representatives are unaware of. And they're showcasing right downstairs if you go in the expo zone. And please feel free to visit it. But thank you so much. And I hope this is a very interesting session. We have been joined by many participants online as well on socials. There are so many questions coming up, but I think we are not going to stop here. Probably we'll be inviting you over again after this COP29 concludes to discuss the way forward with all of you, how we can integrate climate risk insurance. This is a very interesting topic, and there has been a very little debate around around it. But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Hamza, for summing things up so aptly and so in a very consolidated manner. Thank you, Wazir Zada Saab, for your generous offering to all the MFIs here that, SCCP is very much available and we need to streamline certain processes. And I believe these kind of sittings, they can help in creating an understanding within the institutions and with SCCP and institutions also, that the things and the processes that institutions, consider difficult or complex, SCCP is very much here to streamline those processes. Thank you, Kash Foundation and Islamic Relief. Thank you, Buland Saab. I think I'm very much looking forward to the framework that will be presented at COP29 as well. And I believe recommendations that we have gathered here, they're very much part of the framework that we have developed. Thank you, Khala, for you are somebody who's representing MFIs, and I know Mobilink Microfinance Bank is doing wonders, great job. And yes, because you got hired recently, so that's why CSR has been integrated as part of Mobilink Microfinance Bank. But let me share an interesting thing with you. Their branch here, which branch is totally women-led?
The one where we launched the incubator program, it's on the highway.
Okay.
It's opposite Gulberg Greens.
Gulberg Green. So that branch is completely women-led branch, and it's amazing to see the kind of work these ladies are doing there. The entire Mobilink Microfinance Bank, I believe integrating young women is extremely important when we are talking about climate risk insurance. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Rimsha. And thank you from the representative from Sampata Bank India, sir. Thank you for your interventions. I hope this kind of diplomacy that we say multi-crisis diplomacy, engaging think tanks and other parties other than the government, it can help. At least we can support it to integrate some good practices within the region. Although we understand South Asia is the least integrated region, but it's not tough to, learn from our neighbors, learn from each other, and work out on solutions that provide support to the communities, because climate change recognizes no borders. So thank you. With this, we are going to be launching our report that we did last year with Climate Action Network South Asia. I'm not sure if the team has joined online or not, but this report was completed last year through extensive stakeholder consultations. You can scan the QR code and you can download the report. It's available. It's on urban climate resilience and development in Pakistan. It's a national policy paper. So I would like to present it to the panelists who have joined us here. And also the panelist who has joined us from India, sir, please feel free to download it from the QR. The virtual copy for you is available on the QR code. So thank you so much. With this, we would conclude. I request the photographers to take a group photo of all of us with this report, and the recommendations will be shared with all key stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you.